anti-Afro Svengali. There are people around here who still try to pretend they don't know what the heck is going on. And guess who was used as a pawn in all this? Black folks. He specifically targeted our people, namely single black mothers with school-age children. Umar knew what he was doing, and he embarked upon a very intentional, diabolical scheme by which he would continuously focus on the issues that he knew meant the most to our people. No matter how he mentioned these issues, he would mention them to make sure he got your attention. And that's when he came in for the kill. But there are people around here who still try to pretend they don't know what the heck is going on. So rather than try to explain what everything means based on the cease and desist order, I thought I would try something different. I'm going to read something to you. Let's see how many people out there who still want to play like they don't know what's happening. Let's see if they can get this. This comes from the Department of Justice, U.S. Attorney's Office, Western District of Pennsylvania. And this was posted on Tuesday, October 6, 2020. The title is Erie Woman Admits Defrauding the Nonprofit She Founded to Cover Her Gambling and Personal Expenses. The founder of an Erie nonprofit organization and a resident of Erie, Pennsylvania, pleaded guilty in federal court to charges of wire fraud and false writing or document to the government. United States Attorney Scott W. Brady announced today. Sonia Arrington, 53, pleaded guilty to 2 counts before the United States District Judge David S. Cicerone. Arrington also accepted responsibility for all the other counts of the indictment and agreed that the conduct alleged at those counts may be considered by the court at sentencing and utilized to calculate sentencing guideline range. Quote, every individual who made a donation to Sonia Arrington's nonprofit organization to help prevent teen violence was cheated, said U.S. Attorney Brady. The Mothers Against Teen Violence has unofficially ceased to exist, and its initial intent to prevent violence among teens is left unfulfilled. We will continue to prioritize cases that compromise the public's trust in prominent public servants. Miss Arrington's charity was supposed to help youth in the Erie community. Instead, she embezzled tens of thousands of dollars to line her own pocket, said FBI Pittsburgh Special Agent in Charge Michael Christman. She deprived her community and its youth of that money and all the work it could have done. It is extremely disappointing when greed and selfishness take over. And today's guilty plea sends a message that the FBI and our partners will continue our efforts to root out people who believe they are above the law. My office will work to hold accountable those who defraud or attempt to defraud the Social Security Administration, said Gail S. Ennis, Inspector General for Social Security. I want to thank the FBI for its partnership throughout this investigation, and the U.S. Attorney's Office for bringing the charges that resulted in today's guilty plea. In connection with the guilty plea, the court was advised that Arrington diverted funds donated to Mothers Against Teen Violence, MATV, a nonprofit organization she created to help prevent violence among teenagers, to pay for her gambling and personal expenses. Specifically, from December 2011 to March 2018, Arrington engaged in a scheme to defraud MATV of at least $70,000. She solicited donations from individuals and entities in person and by mail, received donations to MATV in cash and checks payable to MATV, and deposited a portion of the donations into MATV bank account and kept a portion in cash for herself. And she did not deposit cash, but kept cash donations for herself. She also used the debit card for the MATV bank accounts to make purchases unrelated to the organization's purposes for things like personal items of clothing, grocery, car washes, and food at restaurants. Used the debit card for MATV to pay for personal bills. 4. T-Mobile, State Farm, First Energy, and others, and deposited checks to MATV into personal bank accounts and kept a portion for personal use. Further, on at least 113 occasions from April 2012 to January 2018, Arrington used the MATV debit card to withdraw MATV funds at the Presque Isle Downs and Casino. She would also on occasion leave the casino to travel to a nearby Sheetz for the purposes of using the MATV debit card to withdraw MATV funds and then immediately return to the casino to gamble with those funds. Arrington also fraudulently received approximately $29,558 in Social Security disability benefits and submitted a document to the Social Security Administration that contained a false statement which falsely claimed that she had submitted wage documentation to the Social Security Administration. Judge Cicerone scheduled sentencing for February 23rd, 2021 at 11 a.m. The law provides for a total sentence of 25 years in prison, a fine of $500,000, or both. Under the federal sentencing guidelines, the actual sentence imposed is based upon the seriousness of the offenses and the prior criminal history, if any, of the defendant. Pending sentencing, the court continued Arrington on bond. Assistant U.S. Attorney Christian A. Trabold is prosecuting this case on behalf of the government. People, now we know every case is unique. However, in this case, we see similarities, a lot of similarities. Umar and this person aren't the only two cases in the United States. Unfortunately, financial crimes and fraud are among the most common of all crimes because it's so easy to pull off. And when people pull off what appears to be easy, they continue to develop this brazen disposition. They get intoxicated by their perceived power. And you can see that based on the response that they have to being confronted about inappropriate conduct. Now, as far as anybody out there complaining about what somebody wants to happen to a person who's engaging in illegal conduct, ask yourself, what concern level do they express about those who have been impacted by this behavior? It is not our responsibility as citizens to cover for or coddle people engaged in inappropriate conduct. And this is a big problem in our community because people like Umar Johnson use this, COINTELPRO, these agents, you're working for the white man. Umar Johnson is the one that's working for the white man against us. It is not us working against him. There needs to be some law and order. And if there's no law and order, we see exactly what happens in our own communities. People engaging in all this type of conduct, and they will be damned if somebody tries to hold them accountable. And when you do, they turn around and try to make you the criminal. But it takes a situation where Umar had to buck up against the establishment who demanded he provide verification that they want. So he is on their route now. He tried so hard to avoid mainstream media. He sure did. He knew what mainstream media would bring to him if it ever got out who he was. So he stayed away. Trust you me, people. He didn't want anything to do with mainstream media. But now he's in the crosshairs of the government, and it has to do with financial malfeasance, with refusing to follow guidelines. And Umar likes to push the limit. Although he will kowtow to the white man, he'll try to see how far he can go. But in this instance, he's backed into a corner and he does need to comply. He needs to comply, and there's no such thing as, oh, only if he's in Philadelphia. No. Umar Johnson is a resident of Pennsylvania. It doesn't matter where he's collecting this money, it's for the same charity. He knows good and damn well what he's doing is illegal. So if he wants to continue doing what he is doing, he's going to get the consequences that are lined up for him. So Umar Johnson is dependent on these funds. It's up to Umar Johnson to figure out what the hell to do. It is not my job to save Umar Johnson. We're calling attention to something that should have been stopped a long time ago. That is the bottom line, people. You know there's much more to come. In the meantime, you know the drill. Buyer beware.